सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः। सर्ववेदांत सिद्धांत गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविंदं परमानंदं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। This ajnana, the avidya and its effects, ajnana karya, though it is beginningless, can come to an end. It is not eternal. Like prag abhavaha, like the former non-existence, prag abhavaha, like the former non-existence of the pot in the mud. So, do not worry. This jiva bhava can be destroyed and you can abide in the self. Because this is not real actually, the jiva bhava. It is only a superimposition. Out of delusion we have only imagined it. It is not the reality. So the Atma, the self, has not become the jiva. It is only just an imagination. So therefore, this jiva bhava can be removed and the Atma, the self, can be realized. This is what we have seen in short, previous few verses, and now moving on further. From the verse 202 we have to study now. 202. Vinivrittir bhavet tasya सम्यज्ञानेन नान्यता ब्रह्मात्मैकत्वविज्ञानम् सम्यज्ञानं श्रुतेर्मतम् विनिवृत्तिर्भवेत् तस्य सम्यज्ञानेन नान्यता ब्रह्मात्मैकत्वविज्ञानम् सम्यज्ञानं श्रुतेर्मतम्। The superimposition, that is, which has come upon the Atma, the self, because of the identification with the body mind, out of delusion, vinivrittihi, it will cease to exist, or it will just vanish in the thin air when samyajnanena, through the right knowledge, samyajnanena, through the true knowledge, the right knowledge, these superimpositions would just vanish. Na anyata, not by any other means. Na karmana, howsoever you act in the world outside, good karmas, no. Punya karmas, no. Na prajaya, na dhanena. Only through the samyajnanena, through the right understanding or the gaining the right knowledge, this ajnana can be removed. This superimposition will vanish or cease to exist. And what is Samyak Jnanam? That is defined in the second sentence. Brahma Atmaikatva Jnanam Samyak Jnanam Shruter Matam. So the Aikya Jnana between the Brahma and the Atma. Brahma means what? That which is substratum of the whole universe. Atma means which is expressing through this body mind. So it is one only. Ekatva Vijnanam. So this is the Samyak Jnanam. When you can realize this first hand, meaning aparoksha, in your own heart, if you can realize this, this is Samyak Jnanam. This is the right knowledge. Shruter Matam. That is what the Shruti Mata is telling. See, Shruter Matam. That is the conclusion of the Shruti Mata. So, without this Brahma Atma Aikya Bodha, the truth cannot be realized and the moksha is not possible. According to Shankara, it is very clear. So, as I told you the other day, if you go within and know yourself, but still if you feel or think this Atma self is divine, but if you see a world other than the Atma and if you think this is not divine, then it is not the right understanding. When you really land in the Atma, the self, from there if you see, there is nothing other than the self. Everything is the self. So, Sarvam Kalubidam Brahma, everything is the one. This is the total, complete knowledge. Purna. Nothing is excluded. So that is how you have to realize the self. Then it is complete knowledge. Samyak Jnanam, complete knowledge. When the complete Samyak Jnanam happens, then all these illusions would just roll away. The delusion is gone, so therefore there is no room for the illusion. When you know that it is just a rope, the snake vision just disappears. But in the Vyavahara, if you see a snake, it's very scary only. But Swamiji, if you say everything is part of imagination, but I am seeing the snake and I am getting scared, how can you call this imagination? See, even getting scared is a manovritti only. The bhaya, where it comes in the mind only. The mind projects everything, can project everything. When the mind subsides in the heart, you will understand the snake, actual snake in the Vyavahara, or the fear created in the heart, or the palpitation, whatever, even if you die, everything is just like a dream. Though at that moment it is very real. When you awake to that state, you know that it's nothing. See, from this state you cannot understand it. While you are dreaming, dream is very real. You cannot understand that dream is false. Only when you wake up to the waking state, then you say all this is false. So similarly, when you wake up to the highest, from there you see even the actual snake crawling and the fear and the palpitation, everything is just nothing from the highest state. Because everything is part of the mind and mind is nothing other than the self. There when you are rooted, there is no mind, there is no fear, there is no doubt. There is nothing other than the self. That is the idea. See, since because you have seen a snake and since because you are scared, you cannot say, how can it be unreal? I am seeing it with my eyes. Yes, the world also you are seeing it with your eyes. Yeah, if you indulge in pleasure, yes, you are feeling that ecstasy or whatever. How are they saying everything is false? While dreaming also, everything is real only. Only when you wake up, say, it's all part of the mind. Part of the mind means what? Not there, actually it's projected. So when you wake up to the highest state, you realize that, this is all projection of the mind. There is no meaning. And the mind is not other than the self. And the self alone is. So when you are rooted there, since you are beyond mind, there is no fear actually. There is no doubt. There is no sort of confusion. Everything is clear. You understand? So this is how we have to. Samyak Jnana is very important to know the self. Now moving on. तदात्मानात्मनो सम्यग् विवेकेनैव सिद्ध्यते ततो विवेककर्तव्यः प्रत्यगात्मस्सदात्मनः तदात्मानात्मनो सम्यग् विवेकेनैव सिद्ध्यति ततो विवेककर्तव्यः प्रत्यगात्मस्सदात्मनोः आत्मनोः not anaha तद आत्म अनात्मनोः सम्यक विवेकेन एव सिद्ध्यति. So how the samyak jnana happens? The true knowledge, how it descends, how it dawns on you. Through viveka, between what? Atma and anatmanoho vivekaha, samyak vivekaha, complete thorough analysis and understanding, discrimination between the not self and the self. That is what we have been studying all through. That is how the samyak jnana happens. Therefore it is said, tataha vivekaha kartabhyaha. Therefore, what is the duty of a sadhaka? He has to discriminate always between the self and the not self. Pratyagatma sadatmanaha, and he should contemplate how this pratyagatma, this atma which is residing in my heart, is sadatmanaha. He is the atma everywhere. This he has to discriminate, this he has to contemplate. So, two things are said here. One is atma anatma viveka. That is the kartabhya. When you perfectly do that and really arrive at the atma, the self, truly, then what is the vision there? The vision is this pratyagatma, this atma which is residing in the heart of the individual me, is actually the atma of all, self of all. So, pratyagatma sadatmanoho. So, this understanding, this viveka dawns. What is the viveka? What is the buddhi? What is the jnanam there? This self is the self of all. See, that is something else, There is a different dimension actually. That dimension we are not at all exposed to, not even a moment. See, that is what, when Swami Vivekananda was asking too many questions, wanting to know, one day what happened, Paramahamsa just touched his head. Something happened to him, and he got the vision of the oneness. Meaning what? For him, everything is sort of the same. Like, suddenly if it happens, you cannot take it actually. So he was going mad. He was pleading with Gurudev. Oh please, Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, I don't know what's happening to me. Help me, help me. And then Guru Maharaj said, okay, now you have got a lot of work to do. So the key to the samadhi is with me. After you finish the work, then we will let you enjoy all this. That's what he said, it seems. That's how it is recorded in the history. So this is something very extraordinary. To see everything as one. It's not ordinary. That vision, something wonderful. And it breaks all the petty ideas and notions about everything. About the world, about oneself, about God, about the scriptures. It breaks everything. It shatters everything. It's a very unique experience. So only through that samyak jnana, out of this viveka discrimination, ultimate samyak jnana dawns. Only with the samyak jnana, all these delusions are removed and all the misunderstanding goes. And then everything is clear. Shanti, shanti, shanti. As long as the mind is there, intellect is asserting, there are confusions, doubts, always missing link somewhere. When you think, something is missing, there is something which I am not able to understand, grasp. Yes, you cannot, because you cannot know it. or you cannot imagine it. You have to go beyond it. So, having gained some sort of understanding, the essence of scripture is what? You have to turn within and seek the source of the self. So, this much if you understand, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, then you actually experiment, sit down and do the vichara properly. And then go deep. Then you will find yourself. You need not ask anybody. Anybody, you will not compare notes also. It is very clear. So only with Samyak Jnana this happens. For the Samyak Jnana, Samyak Viveka is important between Atma and Anatma. When that is done, when the Samyak Jnana happens, then it is very clear that individual self is the self of all. The Bhedam goes, the Bheda Bhavana goes. The idea of otherness goes. Now I feel you are all others, and I am myself, you are others. See, this is how I think. This is me, myself, and you are all others. Anya Bhava. And what happens? This sense of otherness goes somehow. Everything is the same, but the sense of otherness somehow vanishes from the heart. How? Don't ask now how. Only when you give up the body identification, the ego, then only you will understand. Otherwise you will never understand. Because the body identification, the ego is creating this. With the body identification ego, you can never know it. That is a trick here, catching the pig's tail. So with Samyak Jnana, it happens. Jalam pankavadhatyantam pankapaye jalam sputam yata bhati tatatmapi dosha bhave sputa prabha jalam pankavadhatyantam pankapaye jalam sputam yatha bhati tathatmapi dosha bhave sputa prabha jalam, the water, pankavad atyantam, it is very muddy. Let us say, water is very muddy. The dust or the muddy particles are in suspension. They are just floating, let us say. And very, very muddy. You can't even look at it. Then, panka apaye, through some upaya means you remove the dirt, the mud, filter it or do something and remove it. Then, jalam sputam. You get clear water. Why? Because water by itself is always pure. Only when it is contaminated with some other thing, it becomes muddy or whatever, dirty, stinky. But if those foreign particles, whatever it is, mud or whatever it is removed, water is still pure. Sputam means very clear. Similarly, Atma, the self, is always pure, like the water. But the tamas and rajas is there, as if the mud. That creates the wheeling and the projecting, the vikshepa. So when that is removed through proper discrimination, what happens? The true self, yatha bhati tatha atma atmapi dosha bhave. When the dosha of tamas and rajas is removed through proper inquiry, through proper discrimination, then what happens? Yatha bhati tata atmapi. Atmapi means like water, the self also shines in its purest form. Sputa prabha, purest form. So it is not actually the Atma is muddled, but it is appearing to be. Everything is appearance. So therefore now the sadhana is also appearance only. So, but it has to be done properly, sincerely. When the tamas and rajas is removed, that is a dosha. Dosham of the mind is rajas and tamas. That can be removed through Viveka and Vairagya. That's what we have seen. So through Viveka and Vairagya, discrimination and detachment, when this rajas and tamas can be removed, then the Atma shines in its purest form. So, how the thought is developed now? Even though the ajnana karya, even though the superimpositions, adhyasa, all this is beginningless, it can end. It is not eternal. Like pragabhavaha, it can end. Because whatever has happened is not real. It is out of delusion, your own imagination. So therefore, this rule doesn't apply. Whatever is beginningless will be endless. Because it has not happened actually, it's not reality. It's only a imagination. That is one point. So when it will end, samyak jnanena, through proper knowledge, true knowledge only it will end. How to gain the proper knowledge? Through Viveka only it can be gained. An Atma and Anatma. That Viveka only it can gain. So what happens through the Viveka? The dosha of the mind, which is the rajas and tamas, are eliminated. And then like the mud particles are eliminated, the water appears very pure. Similarly, the Atma also, it just reveals itself in its purest form, shines in its purest form. You understand? So this is the process. This is how we have to go about. So what is the kartavyam? What is the duty of a sadhaka? He has to discriminate always. Discrimination means what? Doing nothing. It means it's not doing something. Being aware, whenever the mind is getting attached to something, identifying with something, then say, no, this is anatma, this is dukkhalayam, ashashvatam. To abide in the self is always shashvatam, that is ananda swarupam, that is the highest shreyas, that is what Guru Maharaj has said. So, not to get caught in the mesh of thoughts, not to get caught in anything in the world, any relationships, anything in the world, and always to abide in the self. That is the Viveka Vichara. That is Vairagya. Then the Samyak Jnana happens. When the Samyak Jnana happens, everything is removed. All the adhyasa is removed. Delusion, everything goes. This is how we have to go about. Now, moving on to the next verse. Asannivruttau tu sadatmana sputham pratitiretasya bhavet pratichaha tato nirasa karaniya eva sadhatmana sadvahamadi vastunaha asannivruttau tu sadatmana sputham pratitiretasya bhavet pratichaha tato nirasa karaniya eva sadhatmana sadvahamadi vastunaha. Asannivruttau, when you withdraw from the asat, the unreal. How? Through proper discrimination. When you have known that this is sat, this is asat, this is atma, this is anatma. So after discriminating, when you know clearly, asannivritti happens. When you withdraw from the unreal, from the not self, then what happens? Sadhatmana sputham, then the atma, the self, is very clearly shining in the heart. How it shines? Pratitihi etasya bhavet pratichaha. Meaning it shines as this self is actually not just the self of this body mind. The self is the self of all. That is how it shines. When the Atma shines, how it shines? It is just not the self of this person, the body mind. It is the self of all. In fact, in the Atma, the self, everything else appears and disappears. There is nothing other than the self. See, what is the world? He is going to discuss it, but we will see now. It is said, the world is nothing but Satchidananda as a substratum and Nama Rupa on it. That is called as world, they say. Satchit Ananda as a substratum and Nama Rupa. Sat means what? Existence. Chit means what? Illumination. Ananda is infinity. Whatever it is, infinitude. That is called as Ananda, let us say. So Nama Rupa is there. See, the idea is the existence is borrowed from the self only. The illumination also happens through self only. So Nama Rupa is there just like that. But it is not having a separate existence. The Nama Rupa is not having separate existence. This is what we imagine now. The world has got separate existence. No, it borrows the existence from the self. And illumination also happens through the self, knowledge and the pure consciousness only. So therefore, of its own it doesn't exist, it doesn't reveal itself. So it is not independent. Nama Rupa is always in the self only. Like the reflected city in the mirror has got no separate existence of its own. If you take only the reflected image, other than the mirror, it has no separate existence. And without the mirror, the reflection is not possible. Though you see so many things, Nama Rupa in that, they are not somewhere else. It is in the mirror only. So mirror alone is, self alone is. So this knowledge happens. Like the mud pot thinking, this mud pot I am. All the other mud pots I don't know. But if the mud pot can think little coolly and identify with the mud, Madeva Satyam, mud, if it can identify with the mud, then, oh my God, what is the vision? All the pots are me only. Is it not so? There is nothing other than me. Mud alone is, and the pots are there in the mud. It's not other than the mud. Pots are not other than the mud. So this is the vision. So this is gained only when you withdraw from the Nama Rupa, Asat. With the idea that I am this individual pot. That is Asat. From that, if you withdraw yourself and really identify, abide in the mud. Mud means the self. In this example, I mean. Not mud is the self. In this example. Then the vision is, oh my God, I am the self of all. All the pots are made of mud, therefore I am the Atma of all the pots. So this is the revelation. So without the asan nivritti, without detaching from the individual, you cannot identify with the total. See, that's why if you identify only with this body and only with this personality and as extension only the wife and the children and your own small family and your own pet ideas, then how can you identify with everything? You cannot. So you have to renounce everything. Meaning what? Undress everything, like give up everything. When you become nothing, then you can become everything. You are everything. So this is becoming nothing. There is Ananda only in nothing. But we have something and we are very fond of it and we want more. How much ever more you add, it is not infinite. In this Janma, how much you can add. And even if you add, how much you can enjoy through the senses. Senses have got its own limitation. More than particular point you cannot enjoy also. It becomes dukkha, it becomes sorrow. So therefore that is not the way. We think that is the way, but that is not the way. You just give it up, this one, the individual this thing, then you are everything, and that you are the Purnam. So this is the teaching of our Vedas. Tato nirasaha karaniya eva sadatmanaha sadhu ahamadi vastunaha. So what we have to do, we have to peel out the external conditionings and then try to discover the actual, the sadatmanaha, the self of all. By giving up all the external identification or the conditionings, when we give it up, then we arrive at the real Atma, the self. This is how we have to go about. Nirasaha karaniya eva sadatmanaha sadhu ahamadi vastunaha. From the sadatmanaha, from the real self, we have to somehow discriminate and negate all the other things like ahankara, etc. The body, mind, everything we have to negate. And then we discover the true self. That is all has to be done. But it's a very subtle process. Why? It involves the mind. Through the mind, you have to conquer the mind. There is no other go. Through the mind, you have to conquer the mind. It's very difficult. Because the sadhana also is happening in the mind only. Like that donkey, it was never bound by a rope, but it thinks it is bound. So you have to untie it. So the sadhana is what? As if untying. Because the donkey is thinking it is tied. It is not tied, but it thinks it is tied. So if you just push it, it will not get up. Arey Baba, you have tied me now. Now you untie me. So sadhana is done to cheat the mind. And then you are as if untying. Then everything is resolved. I have realized. Swami, இதெல்லாம் ஒரு தமாஷா மாதிரி இருக்கு. It's a tamasha like from the highest standpoint, this is tamasha only. Nadagam ivulagam. This is nataka, drama. Drama means nothing is happening as if everything is happening. After the drama is over, everybody goes back to their home. They remove all the costumes and all. They get back to the normal routine. During that time, they wear the costume and everything and talk the dialogue and act and then impress everybody as though they are the characters, what they are trying to portray. But after the drama is over, our Acharya said, this time, we in the villages and all, you have got all these village, Kutun Sulwan. Kutu means the roadside drama sort of thing. What they call? Yeah, correct. Street plays like Kutun Sulwan. Villagers, they do it. So there was a sort of a Ramayana happening, it seems. Ramayana happening. And Rama, Sita, Ravana, they were all acting very, passionately, it seems. As a young boy, he was watching it, and there was an interval, it seems. So the screen they put on the interval, it seems. So as a boy, he was very curious to see what Rama and Sita are doing behind the screen. So he just went there, it seems, and there Rama was smoking cigarette, it seems, and asking Sita, hey, can you please give me the matchbox? Rama was asking Sita, can you please get me the matchbox? And Sita was smoking, it seems. Imagine. Is that not tamasha? So in front of the audience, Rama is the Dharmashila and Sita is the Pativrata. And no, they are talking all dialogues, but behind they are their own self. Meaning what? It's all Nataka. So similarly, this is Nataka. Nothing to get serious about it. See, I'm telling you. Nothing to get serious about it. Nothing to hate here. There is no reason to bite each other and eat each other's head. There is nothing serious here. So therefore, this is the self, self of all. This has to be realized. Okay. Now, the very idea of explaining this, what is this kosha? Vijnanamaya kosha, is to tell you that this is not the self. It's only a conditioning, a covering. So that is explained in the next verse. So this verse is important. Why? Because here it is negated. It's not the Atma. Vijnanamaya kosha is not the Atma. Ato nayam paratma syad Vijnanamaya shabda bhak Vikaritva jadatva cha Parichinnatva hetutaha Drishyatvad vyabhicharitvad Anityo nitya ishyate Ato nayam paratma syad Vijnanamaya shabda bhak Vikaritva jadatva cha Parichinnatva hetutaha Drishyatvad vyabhicharitvad Anityo nitya ishyate. No. So I thought, nanityo nitya uchate. Nanityo nitya ishyate. You have to be careful, huh? We have to split. Everything goes wrong then. Ataha nayam paratma syad vijnanamaya shabda bhak. This vijnanamaya, whatever is referred as vijnanamaya, is also not the paratma. Why? Because vikaritvat, it changes, vikaram, it undergoes modification. The intellectual, the ideas, thoughts change, our ideals change. Vikaritvat, jadatvat, by itself it is jada. Only when the reflected consciousness it expresses, then it becomes enlivened. By itself it is jada. Parichinnatva hetutaha, it is limited. It is expressing as a limited entity, na? As an individual ego. So it is very limited actually. So parichinna hetutaha, drishyatvad, it is also seen, drishya padartham. Why? You know your ideas, thoughts, and you know even your personality. This ahankari also you know. So drishyatvad, vyabhicharitvad. What is vyabhichari means what? It is not the same all the time. It goes on changing. Vyabhicharitvat. The ideals change. And anityo na nitya ishyate. This anitya vastu, which is not available in the deep sleep. It is available only in the waking and dream. So this is anitya. How can it be called as nitya, paramatma? So na nitya ishyate. So it cannot be considered as paramatma. If that na is missed, then everything is gone. So it is considered as paramatma naidu. So it is not the paramatma, vijnanamaya kosha, because of all these reasons of vikaritvat, jadatvat, parichinnatva hetutaha, drishyatvat, vyabhicharitvat, na anityo nitya ishyate. So this vijnanamaya kosha also is only a conditioning on the self, not the self. Huh? See, vyabhichari means, vyabhichari we say na, in Southern language. Why? Because pinadi poichu korangu. ஐயா நீங்க போங்க கல்யாணம் செஞ்சு அந்த அம்மா பார்த்தா மேலே பாய போகுது. See, vyabhichara means what? Fickle minded. Mind is not stable. Like that, Vijnanamaya Kosha also, it's not stable. It can change to something. So because of all these reasons, it is only a condition. But what happens? We always identify with the Vijnanamaya Kosha. And we tend to take, this is me. Very proud of this. You know, I am very intelligent, I am very smart, I know everything. I have understood everything. How come this Vedanta I am not understanding? I will see. Like that, because this person is identifying so much of the Vijnanamaya Kosha, his identification is very complete. It is said, this is also not you. Then what is me? If you just negate all this, whatever remains as Ananda, remains as a infinite self of all, that is you. For that you need patience and faith and work on it. We need a lot of patience. Because we want immediate results. It will not happen. For how many janmas we have collected these vasanas, and this ajnana is so deep. So, you imagine immediately you will get it. No, it will not happen that way. You have to work on it without losing heart. There will be a lot of obstacles. The mind will create obstacle. Nobody else will create obstacle. Whatever obstacle creates minds. That is why our Swamiji said, when you lose sight of the goal, then you face obstacle. Whatever obstacle you face is only just you have lost sight of the goal. If you are inspired about the goal, you don't worry about any obstacle. You just dash and shatter all the obstacles and then you move on. So that is how it should be.
So what is the goal?
Goal is Atma, the self. Self. To abide in the self is a goal. The mind creates all the obstacle. You know what happened when we joined the course, Vedanta course? It's a full-time course. 2.5 years course, full-time, daily 3-4 classes, and nothing else but Atma, Brahman, blah, done. And very serious, because with Bhashyam they teach. Bhashyam means Sanskrit commentary on Gita, Upanishads. It becomes very intense. And our acharyas also, they don't leave it like that, just like that. They see to it that you are hammered. So 50-60 people join, enthusiastic youngsters, they join. First 2-3 months, several wickets fall. And then from 60 it becomes only 50, 40, 45 something. And then after 1 year something happens to some people. They get disillusioned totally. What is this? I don't understand really. How can it be true? All this is nonsense. My God, what is this? Because their mind is creating so much of trouble. The one thing, they have come out of their family life, means their parents and everything. And they are living alone. And they are very scared of the future. Nothing is sure. Sannyasa means what? Nothing is sure. They are confused. Why we have left everything? Where have we come here? And here we are not understanding anything. And this seems to be very, it's a very distant dream sort of thing. What am I doing? I don't know. They are very confused. So the mind creates so much of problem. And then when 1.5 years pass, 20 people have gone. And 25 also gone. So only maybe another 20 remains. So people, last few months they struggle because the mind creates so much of this thing from within. And then only 15 people complete the course, from the 60 to 15. And then comes the decision making, whether you want to follow this path or you want to go back to your home and lead a normal life. They give total choice, nobody is forced. See, our Chinmaya mission is very, very gentle. Because nobody can be forced here. If you are forcing somebody, you are asking for trouble for yourself. Because they are going to serve the mission. If their heart is not here, then it is very dangerous. So, when the time of decision comes, from the 15, only 7-8 may take to this. And 10 years they give probation period Then only they give sannyas. Only brahmacharya and then sannyas. So, when you follow life of brahmacharya for 10 years, அதில் ஒரு 2-3 wicket போயிடும். So கடைசி சன்னியாசம் யார் எடுப்பாங்கன்னா 60 பேர் 4 people may take.
10 years.
After 10 years, sannyasa is given.
It's
12 years from the course and the 10 years. So,
exam also?
no exams.
Just
No, see, no need. Life gives you all sorts of exams. Now, what exam? Exam madrida. See, these 2.5 years, you are driven. And afterwards, in the field, you have to go and explain things now. So people ask questions, you have to explain, then you think about it, contemplate, then you run to your acharya, I am not able to understand, this person is asking this kind of a question, that kind of a question. Then you refer, you discuss, you talk, you ask questions, you contemplate, and your own intuition. Like that it goes, it's a churning only. Nothing happens immediately, just like after 2 years also nothing happens. All information overload. You carry the burden of knowledge. But then you slowly assimilate, and then after some time, when it really percolates into you, you relax. Because the tension goes, the stiffness goes, and you know it's simple and it has to be worked patiently, slowly, gradually. And then you start working very patiently and slowly, gradually, without stiffness, tension, without anxieties, worries. That is what you are settling down. And then there is no going back, turning back. It is Ananda only. So that is how it is. So therefore, you people are from different backgrounds. You must have listened to Vedanta before, bits and pieces here and there, and from different acharyas. But when you come here and you stay here and focusing only on the Vedanta throughout the day for 45 days, and then this is bombarded on you. And you have to adjust with so many things, external also, internal also. And people snore in your room, you can't sleep. And then you are half asleep, half awake, very tired, very irritated. And you get angry. Sometimes food also not up to the mark. Means what? Very spicy or no salt or whatever. And sometimes you get very this thing about the classes also. Swamiji talking the same thing again and again, and are not able to understand. I want to give him a bang. What is he talking? What is he talking? Chumma talking. Idhum pesra, adhum pesra, adhum pesra. Yada olna pesungappa. Even he comes and says Shiva, Shiva Stotram, and then Visiriya vachi visu. Mirror, show the mirror to the God. All those things. And morning he says there is no God. No God means what? There is only the self, blah, 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 all those. What you worship is not the reality. Upanishad says it is not the reality. So you have to go deep and all those stuff. So it's very tough. See, imagine if you know that at least it's going to end within 45 days. Who have subscribed for only 15 days, they are very happy today. It will just go away. But the people who have subscribed for 45 days, 30 more days. The countdown starts. 29, 28. You understand? At least you know this ordeal is only for 45 days. But these brahmacharis don't know how long it will continue. But it's not an ordeal actually. It is a fascinating thing. Only when you fall in love with it, it's a fascinating theme. It's really fascinating. But before that, you have to make so much of external, internal adjustments. Internal adjustments also, to come to terms with these things. You know, see, at least, Chuma Solren, Vivaharak sense, we have at least bank balance, some security. You know, at least you have got wife and children back in your house. You have got a house there. And at least you know to look forward what you are going to do. But these brahmacharis, they have given up everything and come to the ashram. They don't have any money. They have nobody to depend on. Acharya is there. Acharya also will say, you die your own death, go away. See, it's very difficult. And they don't know what they are going to do also. Whether they would be accepted in the world or not. Whether they will be able to sort of share the knowledge or not. Can be a teacher or not. Or do what? We don't know. What is in store? Nobody knows. So it is a very scary proposition. So to walk the path and then to face the consequences of your own mind, not others, your own mind. And in the ashram also there are some brahmacharis who will always poke at you. See, there are elements everywhere. In brahmachari means not all devatas sitting there. The same human beings only there, with all their vasanas, all their personalities. So they have their own this thing. If somebody is, prone or vulnerable, they poke their finger. They shout and cry. See, if you are vulnerable, people will play with you. And if you go to Acharya, Acharya will not help you, because he will say, see, you are the substance of the whole world. Why are you coming crying to me? You face your own life. See, after you go to the field, you have to face everything yourself. We cannot come behind you. If you are not able to face your own people here, how are you going to face the world? Go. So you cannot take refuge anywhere. You have to fight your battle alone. But yes, Acharya is there, God is there. But you have to fight your battle, outside and inside. It is not easy, but that is all it is all about. No pain, no gain. That is how you grow. See, only you really come out very beautiful, pure. As long as you are, beautiful, everything is comfortable, and in your own pet theories, there is God, He will help you, no problem, just worship Him. Pet theories, if you are there, no problem. Only when you are put in the fire, acid test, then it is. See, actually it's showing mirror to ourselves, because we don't know ourselves actually. When we are put to ourselves, it's showing mirror to ourselves. See, when I was in the Mauna, first few days very terrible, because it's showing mirror to yourself. You know what is you within, and everything comes up. So that is life. You have to face it squarely. And there is no medical insurance. There is no life insurance for anybody. It's all fake. Life insurance is fake. There is no life is insured here. So there is no medical insurance. There is nothing. When you fall ill, it is ill. Falling ill only. By God's grace, there are good devotees who will take care, to some extent. But nobody can take care of you always now. Everybody has got their own life to live. Even your own children, how long they can take care of you, how much they can take care of you. They have their own life to live. So we have to solely depend only on God. Nobody else. The doctors cannot help much, because they don't know really how to help.
God in Himself is one. You can't depend on God outside.
Yeah, the self inside, but now we know only this personality now. Self we are not knowing now. So we have to have faith that there is self, which is complete Purnam, that is God, and we have to depend on it. On it means on its grace, on its protection, on its guidance, and then we have to walk. That is how it is. So this Vijnanamaya Kosha is not the self. Then comes the last Kosha. What is that? Anandamaya Kosha. And you know what? We are all very fond of it. Why? We want to go back and sleep. That is why we get angry and irritated, if sleep is disturbed. But the person who is disturbing with snoring, he is sleeping Anandam. But everybody else around is disturbed. So this is, at least we know that person only for a few days we have to put up with. But if your spouse is snoring loudly, where will you run? So some people have got different bedrooms. Why? You snore in your room, I will snore in my room. See? This snoring and all is very difficult actually. It's a health condition only. But it is very, very difficult situation. And some people have to urinate again and again in the nights. So for that they do not know how to do it without disturbing everybody. Da-dan, do-dan, do-dan. They put all the light and they break everything. Lights on and they break the buckets, this, that, and they go and fall on something and everybody is awake. If there are 4 people and each get up for 4 times, 16 times you are disturbed in a day, in a night. Swamiji, நீங்க தனியாளா ஜாலியா இருக்கீங்க. Because I cannot afford to come and sleep here now. I cannot be drowsy here. So I have to be fresh. I have to take care of myself for 45 days. If you are not well, you can just sleep in your room. Or you can walk away. But we have to go on. So we have to take care. So it's very difficult actually. So Anandamaya Kosha is very important. Because we don't find Ananda anywhere. At least go to sleep where you forget everything. All your external world, your family, everything you forget, your problems. Anandam, Anandam. Now. Ananda pratibimba chumbita tanuhu Vrittistamo jrumbhita Syadanandamaya priyadi gunakaha Sveshtartalabodayaha Punyasyanubhave vibhati krutinam Ananda rupa swayam Sarvo nandati yatra satu dhanubran Matra prayatnam vina. See how beautifully expressed, Shankara is a great poet also. How he is explaining or describing this Anandamaya Kosha, see? Ananda Pradibimba Chumbita Tanurvritti Tamo Jumbita Tamo Jumbita. Meaning what? When you go to sleep or when you are in the Anandamaya Kosha, what happens? This Tamo Guna Vrittis, Vrittis means the thought modification. Tamo Guna Vrittis are only there. Meaning what? I don't know anything else. That is the experience of deep sleep, no? Meaning, in the waking and dream, you do not know your true self, but you are persecuted by the imagination of your own mind. You see so many other things which is not the self, which are all imagined, and you are persecuted. But when you go to sleep, all the perceptions, thoughts, everything stops. Only there is Ajnana Vritti, it is called as. Out of Tamo Guna. Not knowing, that is a Vritti. That is also a Vritti. That is also a thought. That is also a subtle Vritti. It's not ordinary Vritti. A ripple of thoughts. Gurudev says, ripple of Ajnana Vritti is there. Even in the deep sleep, a ripple of Ajnana Vritti. Ajnana Vritti is not like any other Vritti. It's a very special. Ajnana Vritti means not knowing. That is a Vritti. So when that, he says, Chumbita, kissed by Ananda Pradibimba, by the reflection of Ananda from the self. See? So in the deep sleep, in the Anandamaya Kosha, what is happening? I am not knowing anything. That is Ajnana. Ajnana Vritti is there. Ripples, like ripples, it is there. When it is kissed by the reflected Ananda from the self, you are not aware of the Brahman. Therefore, there is no Ananda Spuranam like that. It is only reflected Ananda. So, when this Ajnana Vritti is kissed by this reflected Ananda, it is called as Anandamaya Kosha. So, there are two aspects to it. One is I don't know, that is Ajnana Vritti. And still I enjoyed. That was our experience when we wake up. So there is Ananda there. That Ananda is not Brahmananda because Ajnana is there. So it is called a reflected Ananda. So the reflected Ananda, when it kisses Ajnana Vritti, whatever is there is called as Anandamaya Kosha. It is actually the seat of the causal body. Because the Vasana Maya is there. So it gives birth to other bodies. So this is Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamayaha Priyadi Gunakaha. So in the waking and dream, how it expresses this Anandamaya Kosha? In deep sleep though it is very clear. In deep sleep it is very clear. We don't know anything, but we enjoyed sleeping. So that experience, when we get up, we have. But in the waking and dream, how this Anandamaya Kosha expresses, listen carefully. Priyadi gunakaha swa ishtartha labhodayaha. See? Ishtartha labhodayaha. When something conducive to your vasana, when it presents itself before you, when you indulge in it, you feel happy. That is the expression of Anandamaya Kosha. So there also, it is graded as in 3 levels. Priya, Moda, Pramoda. Modakam, Visana, Moda. Priya, Moda, Pramoda. Meaning what? Gurudev gives an example. Suppose a boy is thinking of his girlfriend, his beloved. She is not there, but he is just thinking of her. So, she is very dear to him. The very thought of her gives him some sort of happiness actually. We will see what is that happiness later, but it gives happiness. In the Vyavaharik world, he feels happy. That is Priya. Let us say she is coming from somewhere. He goes to the airport to receive her. He looks at her. She is walking there. There is some sort of a excitement. And that is called as Moda. And then she comes running, he goes, and then they hug. You see all this tamasha in the airport, It's nice to watch. Then Pramoda, Ananda, ecstasy. So there are 3 levels. When you don't have the object with you, you're just thinking about it. When you are in the vicinity of the object, when you are actually in the possession and actual indulgence with the object. So this Anandamaya Kosha expresses in these 3 levels as Priya, Moda and Pramoda. When you get to be with the object of your liking. That stupid girl, the father and mother knows well. She is very lazy, useless, procrastinating everything, not doing work properly. And her, temper also is very bad. She doesn't respect elders. The mother knows everything. Or let us say her friend or somebody, her colleague or a co-student knows all these things, let us say. So when this co-student or colleague, when that girl thinks about this girl, will she get happiness? Will she get happiness? Oh, useless girl, useless girl. Once, after the marriage, when the girl was about to leave, the father was in tears. The father was in tears. And he was really feeling very emotional. Then the Mappillai, the bridegroom said, Papa, don't worry. I will take care of your girl. He said, I'm not worrying about her. I am worrying about you. I know my girl. These tears are not for her, for you. I don't know how you are going to manage it for the whole life. So the father and mother knows through and through. See, father and mother, they have got some attachment to the girl, other would know. But if other student, let us say, that student has got not much liking because she knows her terrible nature. So when the other student thinks about that girl, nothing happens in her heart. Maybe some hatred or some dislike. When she meets her, hello, how are you, okay? There is no moda happening. And they formally, sometimes they hug and all, shake hands and all. Nothing happens. It's all very formally done. The same girl. But this boy, because he is very ignorant, Anandamaya Kosha expresses only through ignorance. When he thinks of the girl, I have not met any other person like that, My God, she is Gunavati. He knows nothing about her. But he thinks he is a Gunavati. You know what? She is very, very childlike. She is stupid. He imagines, it's all imagination. Because there is so much of liking, there is some sort of joy in his heart. Not from that object. Because that object, if it is really joyful, should give the same joy to everybody. That other student, when she thinks about this girl, she is angry. But this fellow gets, And when she looks at that girl, where from it is all coming? From the ignorance and from the bliss of oneself only it is coming. See? So the Ananda within only, somehow his mind is now somehow imagining and quiet also. Something like that. So the Anandamaya Kosha only is expressing as Priya, Moda and Pramoda even in the waking and dream. When you get the things of your liking, that is very important. After living for so many years, when you know all the sides of that person, and that kind of, initial, this thing all goes, harsha, everything goes, everything drains. And then when you see, very, very funny thing, if a person, elderly person gets a call, I can clearly tell it is from his wife. Why? Chollu. Straight away he starts. If 20 years back, honey, how are you? Now, how are you? All honey, bini, all those stuff. I have 20 years, sollu. Tell me. Straight away, tell me. Because he knows the voice. And she also knows. Tell me. You know, na? I am very busy. So, where is this moda, pramoda and all? It is in the mind. So the Atmananda is only expressing when the desired object comes in front of you. This is the expression of Anandamaya Kosha in the waking and dream. See, when you get the object, that kind of agitation, it goes, it seems. That is why there is Ananda. Otherwise, it's only disturbance in the mind, actually. See, the emotions only it is. It's only emotional. Something excitement. Or mari excitement and thrill, cheap thrills there. Excitement, thrill is there. That is not Ananda, actually. See, whatever we feel in the mind is only the manovritti or the modification of the mind only we are feeling. Because we like the object, conducive to our vasanas, then we feel something very happy or very something like that, emotional. But when you get that object, if you're truly loving and if you get that object, all the thoughts subside when you have it. Then there is Ananda. There is Ananda. That is Atmananda expressing through the quiet mind. It is not from the object. Object cannot give you happiness. No. As I told you, that girl is miserable herself. How can she give happiness to this fellow? She is also expecting some happiness from the other person. So both are beggars. How can a beggar give dana to other beggar? So it is not so. One's own Anandamaya Kosha is expressing in waking and dream. That is okay, Swamiji, but other times also, sometimes for no reason we are happy. Very cheerful and happy. When you get up this morning, everything is fine. The mind is happy. Butterfly in my heart. But sometimes, for no reason, no particular reason, very down, I don't know why I was born. Straight away, I don't know why I was born. It's all my parents, desires. See? We have audacity to say all those things. Very, very depressed. Why this happens? That is also explained here. Punyasya anubhave vibhati kritinam ananda rupaha swayam. Sometimes what happens, our punya karma, it expresses. It becomes fruitful at that time. And then we feel happiness for no reason. That is the expression of Anandamaya Kosha. Sometimes all our papa karmas, when it manifests or bear fruit, then we feel for no reason miserable, unhappy. See, some people naturally they are bubbling, happy, cheerful in life. Some people are naturally very sad and not happy in life. What else to account for? Some karma only, some previous karma only. So, without any reason also if you feel happy. See, at least if you see somebody whom you like and you are happy, you can account for it. Sometimes for no reason mind is happy. how can you account that punya karma is bearing fruit and the Anandamaya Kosha's expression is that is expressing as that bliss Ananda. So even in the waking and dream it can express. Sarve nandati yatra sadhu tatru brunmatre prayatnam vina. So in the Anandamaya Kosha, everybody rejoices even without effort. When you are with the Anandamaya Kosha, the jivas rejoice even without any effort, without any reason. You understand what I am saying? See, all of us are slaves to this Anandamaya Kosha actually. Why? Either we want to go to sleep, there we want to enjoy the Ananda, that is Tamasic Ananda. That is called as Tamasic Ananda, because Tamo Vritti is only there, kissed by the reflection of Ananda. Said na? So, there we want to enjoy Tamo Guna Ananda. That is why sleep, there is so much of Ananda. Especially, morning sleep. At 4:35, Brahma Muhurta sleep is very Ananda. And the parents are, very sadistic. Exactly, they come and wake you up only at that time. And grandparents are still worse. So that 4:30 to 7:38 Ananda, when you sleep, cannot be compared. And Swamiji, as a Swamiji, you are talking like this. No, I am talking from the perspective of the youngsters. So that is why people want to go to sleep. And they are very proud of it. You know what, Swamiji, I am a very lazy person. Whenever I get opportunity, I will go to sleep. Especially girls, they say that way. Boys, they do that, but they don't say it. So the Ananda we want to enjoy. Second, Rajoguna Ananda, through this contact with the objects. That also was the expression of the Atmanandam only. It is not in the object. Once when you get the object, mind quietens, then you feel Ananda. Otherwise, what you experience is only some tickling of the senses. With so much of physical and chemical reactions within. See, it is all physical and chemical reactions within. And some sort of modification in the vritti. But what is real Ananda is when the mind is quiet, the Atmananda expresses. That is Rajoguna Ananda. So we want that kind of Ananda, right? Either we want to sleep and have Tamoguna Ananda, or always want to indulge in something and want some Ananda. Anything, even taste, even to hear something, Rajoguna Ananda. But there are Sattvic Ananda also. Suppose when you complete your puja, really beautifully you complete your puja, or you hear some wonderful music, or you observe the nature, there also you get some joy. Because mind really quietens. And then in that very quiet mind, whatever expresses is a sattvic joy. Without any sort of excitement or without any sort of provocation. The mind, that is sattvic joy. That is also sattvic only. But if there are no instruments, equipments, the mind is not, then whatever original Ananda of the Atma is something else. It cannot be sort of expressed in any words, or it cannot be compared with anything. See, even when you listen to the music, or even when you sort of appreciate the nature, the mind is still on. But mind is quiet. So you are not requiring anything from the outside world to excite you or to sort of tickle your senses. So that is Sattvika Ananda. So one way or other, we are always seeking Ananda only in the world. Why we actually study hard and get a good job? For Ananda only. Then we can live happily. That's what we think now. Why we sort of get into relationships? We expect to be happy only. Happily hereafter. So they lived happily thereafter. Avador mudichiruvaanga kadayellam. Cinema will be ending. Apparna real cinema starts. So we want Ananda. Why we want children? They are a bundle of joy. So we want Ananda. We want some job satisfaction. Why? We want Ananda from our jobs. A sense of achievement. I have done something worthwhile. It's not that I have wasted my life. I have lived a very purposeful, meaningful life. Yes. Some sort of self-assurance. That is the self-satisfaction. Or Ananda irukku. Like that, for Ananda only we do everything. But all this Ananda is only in bits and pieces. It is mixed with so much of dukkha, sorrows. As long as you are in the mind, there is Ananda like this. Otherwise, the jivas will never live here. They will commit suicide. If there is no Ananda, let us say, jivas will commit suicide. Without Ananda, nobody can live here. Because our nature is Ananda. So therefore, there is Ananda in bits and pieces. In our worldly existence, definitely. But only thing is, it is very fleeting, changing, and tainted with so much of sorrow, miseries. If you are satisfied with that, okay, go ahead. But sorrows are really troublesome. Nobody wants it. If you are not satisfied, if you want something more, dil mange more. Yesterday somebody was telling, if you want more, you want the real Ananda, then here, it is your own self. You are the nature of Ananda. So, there was a beggar. He was on the platform begging. Every day morning he starts. Deena bhavam. Ayo, pasikide, amma. He is really troubled by hunger. So he begs. From those who pass by, he asks, please, please, at least 1 rupee or 10 rupees, something, please. Sometimes somebody throws some coin. Then he is little happy. Sometimes nothing comes. He is very miserable. He cries, and then he dies one day. When he is taken away, a real estate fellow was waiting. He was eyeing that place where he was sitting. When he was removed, then he started occupying it, encroaching it. And he wanted to build a big, high-storied building there. So he started digging. When he dug there, he found a wonderful treasure. Podayal. So much of gold, this, that. See, the plight of that beggar is, he was sitting on the treasure and he was begging every day for some 1 rupee, 2 rupees, something very alpam. If at all, if only he had known that there is treasure beneath. And if he had that, perseverance or that efforts to dig in, he will be the Lakshadipati, Kodiyadipati, na? So similarly, our state also, Gurudev says this. We beg every day from everybody little bit of pleasure. Won't this person smile at me? Won't this person tell some good things about me? Will he not love me? Like beggars we are, always asking for some love. Don't be a beggar in the altar of love. Be a God-like giver, Gurudev says. Be a God-like giver. Don't be a beggar. We beg for love every day. And we are disappointed most of the time. Because everybody is busy with their own lives. Everybody is concerned about their lives only. And everybody is begging for love. Nobody is to give. Everybody wants the other person to come and give love. So everybody is begging. Then who will give? If only we know all the Ananda is within. We don't beg for the happiness, some pleasure from the outside world. Because it's all mixed with so much of dukkha. And it is not, it's fleeting. And this is Ananda, real Ananda. So therefore this is Anandamaya Kosha for you. So when you sleep, there is Ajnana Vritti. Even otherwise the Ajnana Vritti is there. Ignorance is bliss, they say, no? When that is kissed by the reflection of Ananda, that is Anandamaya Kosha. It expresses prominently in the deep sleep. In the waking also it expresses. When you come in contact with a pleasurable object, the object of your liking. Or for no reason it expresses because of your punya karma. Noble vasanas are there which is expressing as Ananda. So that is Anandamaya. Without this Anandamaya Kosha, there is no joy actually. So humans, everybody, all the beings in the world want to be happy only. Even the birds, see how they are happy actually. We feel they are miserable, they are very happy because they are not attached to anything. They are not attached to anything. See the birds, how free they are. Bharatiya writes
They
beautiful.
want to protect. See, sometimes we think they are singing, but they are worried about the snake.
Yeah. I know.
They are worried about their
Yeah, I understand. Sometimes, yeah, they are also troubled, but most of the time you see, they are not like us miserable.
They don't have to worry about what to wear.
Where or all those stuff. See, they have very less. See, Bharatiya writes beautiful about that. They need not pay rent, electricity bill, and they need not have mobile connection. Possession, no possession. No, that's good. So therefore, so this Anandamaya is beautiful. Beautiful means what is the conditioning of the self. Anandamaya koshasya sushuptau स्फूर्तिरुत्कटा स्वप्न जागरयोरीषिद् इष्ट संदर्शनादिना आनंदमय कोशस्य सुषुप्तौ स्फूर्तिरुत्कटा स्वप्न जागरयोरीषद् इष्ट संदर्शनादिना. So this Anandamaya Kosha is very clearly available. Means what? Utkata means what? Very clearly manifest in the deep sleep. When we sleep deeply, it is manifest. That is why we get up and say, I don't know, but I slept happily. Very good sleep I had. So this Anandamaya Kosha expresses in the deep sleep. And also, Swapna Jagarayoho Ishad. It is seen in the expressing in the Swapna and Jagrada also. When Ishta Samdarshanadina, when you meet with the objects of your liking. Ishta means the liking. Darshana means when you see a person or when you get an object of your liking. So this young fellow was, dying for a smart watch. Nowadays very fashionable, a smart watch. But he is a very poor person. How can he afford for smart watch? Suppose somebody has gifted him, let us say. Very happy. I feel very happy. For some time you really feel happy. Oh, I got a watch, smart watch I got. For a stupid fellow, a smart watch. At least let the watch be smart. So he is happy. So that is why when somebody gifts you something very nice, especially on your birthday or your anniversary, you feel happy. Those things are expression of Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha is expressing. The Atmananda, that is what it means. It is not from that object or from that person. Please understand. It is only Anandamaya Kosha is expressing. When you got something which you liked, so Anandamaya Kosha is expressing. See, for a very dirty rich person who wears 1.5 crores rupees of watch, this 2,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees smartwatch, will it excite him or what? And he will not even look at it. He is wearing only the very costly Swiss watches. Such a very, very affluent person. Son of a MP, let us say, or a minister, who is looting thousands of crores every month. So for him, a smartwatch is nothing. So when you give him smartwatch, thank you, will he say? Will he really feel very joyful at heart? Say, okay. But if the same smartwatch is presented by his very beloved girlfriend, let us say, he is happy, not because of the watch, because of the girlfriend whom he likes. It is an expression of love from her. So that gives him joy. not actually the watch or not actually the girlfriend herself, because he likes that person. So the Anandamaya Kosha is expressing through that, that occasion it expresses. So it is Ananda from the self only is expressing all the time. That is no, see, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, Who Am I? In that book, he very clearly writes. அதை என்ன சொல்கிறான்னா, இந்த உலகத்தில் ஆனந்தங்கிறது துளி கூட கிடையாது. It is always Atmanandam only expressing. We always confuse the Atmanandam to be the Anandam from the objects or from the people. It is our own mind's play and our own Anandam expressing. See? Actually, we don't know what is Ananda. That is why we take everything to be Ananda. But if you know what is Ananda, whatever we experience in the world as Ananda is Dukkha only. Because the mind's ஒரு இது மாதிரி தான், மைண்டோடைய ஒரு வகையான ஆட்டம் தான் அது. மைண்ட் இருந்தாலே துக்கம்ங்கிறாங்க பெரியவங்க. When the mind is there, it is dukkam only. Because limitation. Mind is a limitation. When you are in the unlimited ocean of bliss, whatever limitation is dukkha only. Since we do not know that ocean of bliss, we think this little bit of it is ananda. It is pleasure, as at the moment is called as pleasure. It is not joy or it is not real ananda, happiness. So in the deep sleep, it is very clearly expressing Anandamaya Kosha. And in the Jagrat Swapna also, it expresses occasionally whenever we happen to interact with the objects of our liking. Even though it is said, all these things are said about it, it is not Atma the self. That is what we are going to see in the next verse. This Anandamaya Kosha is also a conditioning on the self. Even though you feel happy and all, you should not be satisfied. It is also the conditioning of the self. Therefore, you have to go beyond even the mental oscillations and happiness. Sukha dukkha. You have to go beyond. So then you find the Atma, the self. What is the nature of the Atma, the self? Then the question is put. So we will stop here, 8:15. So you have to understand this Anandamaya Kosha is not also the Atma, it is the conditioning. When you negate all these koshas as not I, not me, not self, whatever remains which cannot be negated, that is Atma, the self. That is how he is going to conclude. Okay, so in our late morning class, we will see how this Anandamaya Kosha is also not the self. And then what is the real self then? Then he is going to explain what is the real self. And then a question is put to the Guru. Guru Maharaj, you have spoken about the Atma, the self. Can you please elaborate on that? Can you please explain to us what is Atma, the self in detail? Then the pravachana, the teaching starts. So that is for the next course. Okay, so we will stop here. Om Purnamadha Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudhachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So in the first course, what we have learnt is what is not